Good morning, Gospel Life Church. Happy St. Patrick's Day, if you are into celebrating that. I was reading through the book of Habakkuk, so that's where we're going to be this morning, if you want to turn there. Habakkuk chapter 3. And I checked my bank account this morning, and my stimulus money was there, which is nice. Talking to people recently, it's been interesting how many people were not thankful for it, but just complaining that, well, it's not really going to matter how much money I have because the economy is going to be destroyed and it's all going down the tubes. I'm not here to argue against that because I think that's possible. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm usually an optimistic person, but I think Habakkuk speaks to some of that in our situation this morning. So let's read Habakkuk chapter 3. A prayer of Habakkuk the prophet according to Shigionoth. O Lord, I have heard the report of you, and your work, O Lord, do I fear. In the midst of the years, revive it. In the midst of the years, make it known. In wrath, remember mercy. God came from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran. His splendor covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise. His brightness was like the light rays flashed from his hand, and there he veiled his power. Before him went pestilence, and plague followed his heels. He stood and measured the earth. He looked and shook the nations. Then the eternal mountains were scattered. The everlasting hills sank low. His were the everlasting ways. I saw the tents of Cushan in affliction. The curtains of the land of Midian did tremble. Was your wrath against the rivers, O Lord? Was your anger against the rivers, or your indignation against the sea? When you rode on your horses, on your chariot of salvation? You stripped the sheath from your bow, calling for many arrows. You split the earth with rivers. The mountains saw you and writhed. The raging waters swept on. The deep gave forth its voice. It lifted its hands on high. The sun and the moon stood still in their place at the light of your arrows as they sped, at the flash of your glimmering spear. You marched through the earth in fury. You threshed the nations in anger. You went out for the salvation of your people, for the salvation of your anointed. You crushed the head of the house of the wicked, laying him bare from thigh to neck. You pierced with his own arrows the heads of his warriors, who came like a whirlwind to scatter me, rejoicing as if to devour the poor in secret. You trampled the sea with your horses, the surging of mighty waters. I hear, and my body trembles. My lips quiver at the sound. Rottenness enters into my bones. My legs tremble beneath me, yet I will quietly wait for the day of trouble to come upon people who invade us. Though the fig tree should not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, the produce of the olive oil fail, and the fields yield no food. The flock be cut off from the fold, and there be no herd in the stalls. Yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will take joy in the God of my salvation. God, the Lord, is my strength. He makes my feet like the deer's. He makes me tread on my high places. To the choir master with stringed instruments. Habakkuk starts off his prayer with a remembrance of the goodness of our God. The first couple verses. And we see in his prayer, I think, a similarity to our situation, and I think this is where I hope we all want to be with this conclusion, but I think it's where we all should be. He sees in verse 16, he says, "Yet I will quietly wait for the day of trouble to come upon people who invade us." Many times we feel like people are coming for us, right? They're coming to take away our freedoms, they're coming to take away whatever we value, and we're worried that whether it's politicians or whoever are coming to take away and invade us, what we care about. Habakkuk's conclusion in verse 17, he realizes that, we might be in the place, though the fig tree should not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines. Produce of the olive oil fail, the fields yield no food, the flocks be cut off, there be no herd in the stalls. Like all our worldly possessions, things that we depend on and need, they're just going to be, they may all be gone. He doesn't know, but he says, though, it could be happening. It doesn't matter to him, right? He says in verse 18, "Yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will take my joy in the God of my salvation. God the Lord is my strength. Right? That's where we should be. Even if everything is taken away, all the stuff that we hold dear, which we probably shouldn't. There's nothing wrong with money. There's nothing wrong with possessions. We can use those for God's glory, and we need them to survive in this world, right? We have to have our needs met. We have to eat. We have to have shelter. But even if those things that we are desiring are taken away, we can still rejoice in the Lord, because as Habakkuk did, he remembered the goodness of our God. He was faithful to us. We see history of that all through the Old Testament, culminating in the coming of Christ. God was faithful in keeping his promises and providing for us the salvation that we desperately need. So go today in that confidence that we have a God who loves us and cares for us beyond what we can even imagine, and will, no matter what comes our way. Have a great day.